Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Did y'all miss me? Probably not. I see we've already got some responses to the title of the video. How many ACC teams will make the 12-team playoff? Well, we know one is, because there's an automatic bid for the conference champion. I think we'll see another one in there. Now, the question is, do we add Notre Dame in there? I think two. I think two, even without Notre Dame. If you don't, I mean, I consider them an ACC team, but they technically aren't, so I guess we won't include them. The only issue the ACC has as far as getting more than one team in there is most of these teams at the top of the ACC, or what we project will be the top of the ACC come the end of the year, have to play each other. So that could be a problem. Jeremy says 3. Well, that would be something. Momo thinks Florida State and Miami are both getting in. That's interesting.
Make no mistake, they're going to be highly dangerous.
Yeah, I'm with you, Eric. I think 2, if you add Notre Dame, possibly 3. I'd be very surprised if there was only 1. Anyway, we'll see if Sea-Dog is able to join us today. I know he's moving. I haven't talked to him this week, but I know that he is moving from a camper into his newly built house. So congratulations to him for that. We also have the College World Series happening. Coming up in 2 days here. We'll take a look at the bracket there. Clemson in a heartbreaking loss against Florida, 13 innings. Florida advances. And then last night, the NC State Wolfpack took care of business and knocked out Georgia in their Super Regional to advance. So we have 4 ACC teams and 4 SEC teams advancing to the College World Series. That's kind of shocking. No Big 10 teams, no Big 12 teams. Should be interesting, though. Everybody give a round of applause to Tennessee Man. He is not drunk today. So that's a step in the right direction. Because normally, well, he does type like he's drunk. So, you know, there is that. Hey, grab a beer, Tennessee Man. Fuck it. We'll take a brief look at the baseball bracket, but of course this isn't a baseball channel, so we won't spend a lot of time on that. It is recruiting season, though. The beginning of the recruiting season. We may take a brief look at some of the college football recruiting rankings as it stands in the second week of June, which really means nothing, but at least it gives you some idea of where these teams are, what these teams are doing, how many commits they're getting, and we can all project about where we think they'll finish based on their ranking and how many commits they have. But I don't follow recruiting really until the end of the year because there's really no point, but I do take a look at it every once in a while, especially this time of year. Well, mainly Clemson, honestly. I mean, I'm not really concerned with what everybody else is doing. I'm more worried about my team than anybody else's. And so far, so good. Tennessee, man, you know what typing in all caps means, don't you? I mean, there's a meaning behind it. It doesn't mean you're drunk, you're right. But it does mean that you're yelling. Do you walk around your house all day yelling for no reason? I mean, if I was a Tennessee fan, I'd probably be yelling all day too, but that's besides the point. You always yell for no reason. Somehow I believe you. I don't think you're lying. All right. Give me about 30 seconds. We'll get this thing started. Probably go till about 8 o'clock tonight. So about an hour-long show. So buckle up. Go Tigers. All right, let's turn this music off. Oh, jeez. But look who we do have here, though.
Go.
Let me make sure. I think we're good to go here with the... oh, wrong one. There he is. No camera today, Sea-Dog?
No, I'm on camera. Here you go.
There he is. So I hear you're in the process of moving out of where you're sitting now, I think.
You hear him?
Is that true or not?
Sort of. Who'd you hear that from?
I don't know. I heard somebody mention it on somebody else's show. I don't know. I can't remember where it was, actually.
Oh. We're pretty close, but it's probably going to be another few weeks.
Oh. So what are you doing now? You just putting the finishing touches on the house or something?
Well, no. No. Right now we're trying to get inspections and everything ready for to put insulation and drywall in.
Oh, so you still haven't done that yet?
No.
Oh, so you're still a long ways away then.
Yeah, it's gone pretty terribly. But look, we're so tired of it. This is where we're living. This is our house.
Yeah, I get tired of that too. You've been there. How long have you been in that camper?
Year.
A year. Okay.
year.
For some reason, I thought it was longer than that.
We moved out of the camper. We moved into this little. It's like a little laundry room. It's like an auxiliary building. It's basically a shack. But the camper just. We got out of there because it sucked so bad.
Wait, it wasn't big enough, or?
Yeah, it just shaked, and the bed, like we had to climb over the bed to get in and out. We put like a king size bed in here.
Did you just say it shaked?
Yeah, the whole camper shakes whenever we move.
I can see in the middle of the night that thing tumbles over sideways. Well, you'd be screwed then, wouldn't you?
Not that much shake, but
Tiny house.
Enough.
No, when you walked, it was like.
When I walk, my wife says that I always made it shake.
Oh, so she's blaming it on you. So when she walked, it was fine, but when you walked, it shaked.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds.
Even though the cats shake it, jumping around.
That sounds about right.
Walking around.
Yeah. So.
So what's the final date here? When are you looking on getting in there, like permanently?
We're moving in. I don't care, man. This sucks so bad. We're gonna move in as soon as like the drywall's in, and I'll just finish it from there. Because right now it's like, or up until this point, it's all been stuff I can't do, like electric and plumbing and all that. I can put trim down. I can paint. I can put the cover plates on the sockets. I can lay flooring. I can even put the cabinets and appliances in. Like I can do all that.
Yeah.
I'm moving in as soon as the drywall in, which I'm not supposed to. I have to get a CO first, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
What's that? Was that an inspection?
A CO is a certificate of occupancy.
Oh.
So nobody's supposed to live in it until you get one of those. But I've had it, man. I'm just gonna do it anyway.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to be living in what you're living in now, but nobody seems to care.
Ha, yeah.
So,
I'm basically homeless.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
That's where I've been. I'm sorry. I just amongst.
No, I've been.
I've been working, 11-hour days, and I've been working every Saturday for the past like 2 months. So.
Yeah.
I just haven't really been on YouTube a lot as a result.
I got you. So, but let me ask you one final question about your house. Are you going to have a room for like a YouTube studio in there, or just an office area?
So after we build the house, I'm planning on building a mother-in-law suite type of deal, where it'll be two floors. It won't be huge, maybe like 20 by 20, and it'll have sort of something similar on the bottom floor to my old man cave where I made all my videos before in my old house. Upstairs will be like a mother-in-law suite. So it'll be a flat, with a bed and like a little kitchenette and like a shower and stuff like that.
And that's where you'll make that's where you'll have your studio.
The downstairs will be the man cave part will be my studio.
Oh.
The upstairs will just be either somebody wants to move in, either my brother or my buddy Cameron, if they want to move in. Because, Cameron used to live with me. My bald friend.
Your bald friend?
Yeah, he's very forgettable because he doesn't talk to anybody. But he's been to
That's a hell of a way to describe him.
He's been to several events, and he's cameoed in a couple of my videos. But fun fact, he's recorded most of my videos.
Oh.
Yeah, he records all the like crazy ones, like the buzzsaw videos. He's recorded all those.
Oh.
He was my roommate, and so he was the one behind the camera. He appeared in the video. Remember when I lost the bet to you and had to get the Clemson tramp stamp?
Yes, I clearly remember. That's one of my favorite videos of all time. Are you kidding me?
Dude, he was the one tattooing my ass.
We have a special guest here.
J-Bo!
What's going on, fellas?
What's going on, Jordan? How you doing, buddy? It's a long time no here.
Yeah, I know. It's been a pretty hectic, past few months. I've had a lot of life changes, just from job status and all that. So I just haven't had as much time to hang around YouTube. So
I got you. So job changes, I'm assuming positive ones. If it's
Yes, very very positive. So well, I mean, as you know, like I was working on my my PhD, and I just got to the point where I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore, and so I stopped doing that. But you know, I think some things happen for a reason. You know, and it was better for my mental health and everything like that. And I'm a lot happier now. And I'm working with a nonprofit research institution. I do mass spectrometry, which is I could go into a long whole spiel about what that is. But it's a nonprofit research institution for neuroscience. And so I look at data and do a lot with that. And I'm also a lab technician. So
awesome.
Having a lot more fun doing that than, what I was doing.
Yeah. So no Dr. J-Bo in the future.
Unfortunately.
No Dr. J-Bo. That's okay. You're out there making Clemson world proud, though. Are you still living in Clemson?
No, I'm not. I'm in Charlotte now.
Oh, so did you move there for the job?
Yeah.
Okay. You're not far, though. I mean, what's it, like an hour?
2.5.
Oh, okay.
But I can still get there pretty. I mean, it's a day trip, so it's not really anything too much. But.
Awesome. Now, unlike us, I know you're a huge baseball and basketball, all Clemson things fan.
Oh yeah.
So now I will admit I have been paying attention to Clemson in the postseason. I watched I watched a good bit of the ACC tournament. I obviously watched the regionals and the super regionals. Give us your thoughts on the game against Florida that we saw. What was that, Saturday? Sunday.
The first one, the last one was Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. The 13-inning game where two coaches got ejected, one player got ejected. Cam hit a 3-run homer in the top of the ninth to take it to the extra innings, and then he made a hell of a catch. I think it was in the 10th inning to keep them alive there, and ultimately they lost. But what do you think about that game? What happened with the coaches, and where the baseball program stands going into next year?
Man, I mean, the game was heartbreaking for a lot of reasons. You needed that game because Saturday didn't go how you wanted. You gave up 7 runs, and I think in the 5th inning, and that was basically the difference in that game. And so they came out, and Florida punched them in the mouth early, and then they responded. And when I just hate how that game played out because the umpires inserted themselves and made it about them.
Yeah.
It's just, I hate anybody that watches baseball at any level. It's a universal thing. It's like, if we're not calling the umpire's name a bunch, that's probably a good thing. And it just happened way too often. They inserted themselves and they didn't apply their punishments fairly. That was kind of my biggest gripe. Like the first incident with Jack Crichton, the inning was over. It was the 3rd out, and he came over and barely touched the umpire, and then they threw him out. I'm like, what are we doing here? And then, obviously, later in the game when Eric Bakich and Jack Leggett got ejected because they were reviewing a bat spike after a solo home run to put them up in extra innings. It's an emotional moment, and I just, It was a great game, though. That's the one thing. That's one of the best college baseball games I've ever seen, and Cam Canarella he's special, man.
Yeah, and it's looking like he'll be back next year. There's rumors that he's looking to maybe transfer, but we don't know.
That's not happening.
I doubt it's going to happen either way, as long as Bakich is there. But
yeah, I know people that are close to him. That's people like this have been starting that stuff up for a while now. It happened last year, and they were like, "Oh my God, Cam's going to transfer to South Carolina." He's
South Carolina.
Yeah, he said multiple times, that he's here to stay. So I mean, obviously anything can happen in this NIL world and all that, but Cam he loves Eric Bakich, and he loves playing for Coach Bakich. That's why he's here, and not for anything else. And so as long as he's here, I'm very confident that Cam will be here next year.
Yeah. And shout out to Florida. Listen, they're a great team. Who's that guy that plays for Florida? They kept walking. He's got to be one of the best hitters in the country.
Yeah, Jack Caglione.
Yeah.
He's a physical freak. Like, I mean, because he pitched for them that Sunday game, and he's a 400 hitter. He hit like 20, almost 30 home runs this year.
Wow.
And he's nuts. I hate that. You know, it got so chippy in that second game, but he really is a special player. And the criticism about pitching to him at certain points, it was like, well, you know, in hindsight, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have done that, but like it was always in situations where there was already runners on base, and you were about, you know, you're in leverage situations where you don't want to score a run or put a runner in scoring position. And so you were just kind of like, we got to take our chances sometimes. And it worked for them a couple times and not so much others. So, you know, you just kind of, I mean, he's a generational talent. Like, he's one of one. So you don't face many guys like him.
Yeah, he's a real deal for sure. So what we're left with here is obviously 8 teams left in the College World Series, 4 ACC teams and 4 SEC teams, which is kind of surprising to me. But it is what it is. So we've got, it's up on the screen here. We've got North Carolina and Virginia facing off in the first bracket here. Tennessee and Florida State. That ought to be a good matchup there. And in bracket 2, we have NC State and Kentucky, and then Texas A&M and Florida facing off. And it obviously goes down from there. It's a double elimination, right? Just like the Super Regional.
Yeah. Yeah, and the weird thing is you play on they play on alternating days. So if you play one day and then you don't play the next day. So it's not like back to back like the other like the regionals and super regionals were. So it's really strange. Like at least the opening round.
Yeah, once they get down to the last 2, I think they play consecutive days, right?
Yeah. Best of 3.
Now, who is your pick to win this? I mean, Tennessee is favored, I believe, in Vegas. They're the best team, the number 1 seed, right? So, but is that who you think is going to win it, or do you have a dark horse?
I think so. I'm going to lean Tennessee, but there's the stat that the number 1 overall seed hasn't won the College World Series since 1999, I believe, when Miami did it.
Right.
But this Tennessee team is like, they're pretty complete. Like they have the bats, they have the arms, like they have a deep bullpen. Like they can score whenever they need to. Like I don't know, but if I had to pick a dark horse, I mean, I really think Florida State for the back half of the season, they've been a top 2 or 3 team in the country.
Yeah. So
like that's why I'm so excited to see this Florida State Tennessee matchup, because this could be really good. They have some really good bats and really good pitchers.
Aside from who you think may win, is there a team in particular that you're rooting for one particular reason or another, or do you not care?
I mean, I would prefer. Honestly, I would be okay if if NC State or Florida State didn't win it, I wouldn't be losing sleep.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
And one of the things is that, Florida State, they have the distinction of having the most College World Series appearances without winning it. Do you want to know who the program that's next?
Oh, I don't know.
It's Clemson.
Is it really?
So, yes, it is. And it's really weird because Florida State has like 24, I believe, like 24 College World Series appearances, haven't won it once. And Clemson is second with 12, and they haven't won it once. So if Florida State wins, then Clemson will have that distinction of having the most Omaha appearances without a title. So I would not want to be there.
Yeah, I don't want that.
And NC State, I hate NC State for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, me and you both.
And Tennessee, I would be kind of annoyed because their fans are annoying, but I could live with it. And everybody else is whatever. Like, if Virginia wins it again, like they won it back in 2015 or something like that. If they won another one, I wouldn't wouldn't be upset about that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I'm with you. I definitely don't want NC State to win for all the reasons you just named, and people know how I feel about NC State as a whole, so I won't even go into that. But outside of that, I wouldn't be upset if Tennessee won it. They've never won it before. They've been the best team all season, so that wouldn't upset me. Florida State really wouldn't upset me that much either. I don't know. I guess outside of that, I don't really care.
It's a good story. Like I like they were like second to last or bottom or last in the league last year, and Link Jarrett he came over from Notre Dame, and it's kind of a mess when he got there, and now he's turned them around in one season basically, and got them in the College World Series. So I mean, it would be a cool story.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. So hopefully we have a good College World Series. I'm sure that we will. Let's move on to some football now. And this is way too early. Looking at the recruiting rankings, of course, it is June. So this is the time when most of these universities have their football camps and have all these guys come on campus for visits and throw out a lot of offers and get some commits. So here's where we stand according to 247 Sports as of today. And this has changed in the past few days. No shocker, Ohio State right now at number 1 with 14 commits, 3 5-stars, 11 4-stars. Notre Dame at 2. Now they've got more commits than anybody else by a long shot. They've got 21 commits. So that's the reason they're sitting at number 2. They'll definitely drop down, between here and December, no doubt, because they got 12. I mean, it's not a bad class. Don't get me wrong. They got 12 4-stars and 9 3-stars. Committed as of today. Alabama at 3. Alabama was way down the list a couple of days ago. They must have had a flurry of commits in the past 72 hours or so because they moved way up to number 3. But no shocker there that DeBoer can recruit, and it is still the script A. Alabama can recruit still off of their name, and we have to believe that Nick Saban being still on staff in some capacity has something to do with that as well. Clemson's sitting there at 4. Now, this is what always boggles my mind about the recruiting rankings, especially early in the year. When I looked at this same site on, Friday of last week, Clemson was at 3, but that's not what I'm talking about. It said that they had 13 4-stars. Now it says they have 10 4-stars and 3 3-stars. Did they get declassified or something? Do you know anything about that?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, because 24/7 Sport, they've been weird because like recently they used to designate the 4-star, 5-star, whatever, like on the rankings. They used to designate it based on the composite rankings, but now they've switched over to their own in-house rankings, and then you have to actually click on the player to see their composite ranking. So maybe there was a change there. I don't think they've done a rankings update in the past week, but I couldn't tell you. I mean, that's why I don't tend to pay attention to the number that much, at this point, and just kind of, I look at who's in the class and kind of how complete the class is. And,
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And here's what we're looking at, right? We can already see from what we have on the field and based on the commits that we have, the defense is still going to be stout from this year and the several years to come. They're killing it on the defensive side of the football. What we're looking at right now is quarterback and offensive line. And, of course, the other skill positions as well, but mainly quarterback and offensive line, because I made the declaration that let's pretend – I know everyone hates Cade Klubnik and they think he sucks and he's terrible and all that. Okay, fine. Let's say that Clemson wins 10 or 11 games. All right, let's just play fantasy land here for a second. And Cade Klubnik has a pretty good year. I think there's a very good chance that he would decide to come back for another year next year.
I do too. Which
would most likely make him the starter if he's coming off of a good season and he's the veteran. So then we're left with Pierman and Vizino, okay? I think Vizino probably would hit the road. I hope he wouldn't, but I think that he probably would in his third year not starting. He probably would hit the transfer portal. So then we're left with Pierman. I mean, and I'm nothing against Pierman. We don't really know what he's going to look like. I know there's a lot of Clemson fans, based on his spring game performance, that are ready to throw him at the starter position, which I'm not. But I think they need to recruit a quarterback in this cycle. And as far as I know, we don't have one yet. Let me click on this and see.
We do.
Well, okay. Is that the guy from Connecticut, maybe?
Yeah, Blake Hebert. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's, but I think you were hinting at a great point though, because if say Cade Klubnik comes back and he plays his senior year, I mean, when he leaves, I mean, you're still stuck. You have Vizina. I mean, at this point, a third-year Vizina, you would hope would be somewhat ready to play, but he hasn't shown anything lately. And Trent Pierman, he showed out in the spring game. You don't really know. So that puts a lot of pressure, and especially if Vizina transfers out, that puts a lot of pressure on Blake Hebert to come in. And he's a guy that I liked his tape, his sophomore tape. He didn't play at all his junior season because he tore his ACL the first game of the year. So he didn't really have a junior year. So we'll kind of see what happens in his senior year and whether or not he really shows that progression. But that's kind of an unknown right now. So like the future of the quarterback position is a little murky right now. Yeah, At least looking at the 25 class. Now, Clemson does have some really nice options shaping up in the 26 class. But
yeah, I saw that.
That's another year later.
Yeah. So anyway, and the offensive line, so the hire of Mac Luke seems to already be paying off. He's doing great on the recruiting trail as far as the offensive line goes. So I think Clemson's in a decent spot. I'm most worried about the quarterback position. I mean, the guy? What's the guy's name again from Connecticut we were just talking about?
Blake Hebert.
Blake Hebert. He's listed as a 3-star, I believe. When was the last time a 3-star quarterback started for Clemson? Do you know?
Kelly Bryant.
Was he a 3-star? I thought he was a 4-star.
No, he was. I'm pretty sure he was a 3-star.
Okay.
He had been in the program a long time. When 2017 rolled around, he was a junior, senior, or something like that. But he had been in the program for a couple of seasons, and he was just the guy that was most ready to play at that point. So yeah, I believe it was Kelly Bryant. I'm trying to think.
So. Moving on, Southern Cal at 5, 2 5-stars committed to Southern Cal. I guess that's really no surprise. They don't have any problem recruiting. They just have a problem executing on defense. So Georgia at 6 with only 12 commits. They'll move up between now and then. They've got 9 4-stars and 2 5-stars. Oklahoma with 15 commits, coming in at number 7. Auburn 8, LSU 9, Texas A&M 10. I won't go all the way down the line here because, again, it's June.
Why not?
Well, all right, do you want to find? There's Georgia Tech sitting there at number 25.
That's right. Come on.
With one less commit than Clemson, but 22 spots lower.
So we had 6 recruits commit the other day.
Yeah, you got 2 4-stars and 10 3-stars. The 3-star university, Georgia Tech.
Including the 2 4-stars committed in one day. It was pretty cool. And they all did it at like 10 p.m.
Wow.
So that was fun.
Anybody on Georgia Tech that's committed to them that you're super excited about? Is there like a blue chip player that you got that you didn't think you were going to get or whatever?
No, we actually missed out on a lot of guys that we wanted, but I mean, pretty cool. I'm a little bit out of the loop. Even with my own team lately, so I haven't been really keeping up or following the recruiting trail or whatever that much. But
yeah,
I'm just
this list right here is going to look nothing like it's going to in December. I mean, this is just sort of the preliminary, but you do get some sort of idea about what they're going to do, but not really much. Right. South Carolina at 38, you hate to see it. 2 4-stars and 7 3-stars. Shane Beamer's out there. He's blazing the recruiting trail.
Hey, he just got a couple of commitments. They were 3-stars, but this past week. So, hey, do you think he is the coach in 2025? I'm going to say yes.
You do?
I think 25 is the year though, because I do think they did a good job in the past couple of cycles. as far as like, kind of revamping the lines of scrimmage was really a mess. But, I think they're going to give him a year, with Lenore Sellers being the starting quarterback, see how that goes. And then 25, like it's got to be like this has got to be a year where you got to show some return on investment, because you went 8-5 the year before last, and then you slid to 5-7 and not making a bowl game. And so now you're like, okay, well, I can only sell hopes and dreams for so long before, the administration and the fan base starts getting wary of my rah, I love South Carolina act. So,
but Jordan, you can look at a specific reason on why they went 5-7. I mean, they lost 13 O linemen to season-ending injuries.
That's true.
That's ridiculous.
Well, it wasn't 13 to season-ending injuries, but they had a couple guys lose that they lost for the season, and then it was kind of a revolving door. So I mean, I get I get all that, and they also had a new offensive coordinator, so new scheme and all that. But you had Spencer Rattler, and you had Xavier Legette, and the defense underperformed. Like that was like, those were concerning things, like beyond the offensive line struggles that were like, okay, that's kind of, because their defense last year on paper should have been a lot better than it was.
So I'm going to disagree with you. I think that if they miss a bowl game this year, I think that the pressure from the fan base and maybe even some of the administration will be too much for Shane Beamer to survive to next year. Now,
I could see it.
And they have a tough schedule. And you were talking about the injuries a minute ago, both of you. This is something, a shout out to Carolina Jackpot. He's been talking about this for the past 3 seasons. And so this is a perpetual thing with them. And I don't know what the issue is. Now, obviously, some injuries are, you can't avoid them. It's a physical sport, shit happens. But the amount of injuries that they've had in the past 3 years is way above average in the country, especially to their starters. So there's got to be something else going on there. I don't know if they have changed out their strength and conditioning, and
it's been across 2 coaching staffs, because under Muschamp they were known for constantly being injured. So it was, I don't know what. And the weird thing is when Beamer first got there, it improved. Like they were okay, but then the last couple of seasons it's been kind of a backslide. So I know they've made strength and conditioning staff changes over the past few years. So I really couldn't tell you. Maybe it's Willie B is cursed. I couldn't. Maybe that.
You think that place is cursed?
Yeah.
The only other thing I would say is, they would have if let's say you get into week 9 and they're they've only got 2 or 3 wins, right? So they're starting to look at the landscape of what's available if they want to go get a coach. So it's going to depend also on what's available. I don't think that they'll just settle for, a shitty coach or an unproven coach. Maybe they will. I don't know. Before they fire Beamer, maybe they'll give him one more year. But I think
Listen,
what?
Steve Spurrier Jr. is such a South Carolina hire.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
If they do
That's
that,
such a South Carolina hire.
I will praise Ray Tanner and that athletic department forever. I hope he stays a very long time if they were to make that.
Well, do you know who the South Carolina fans are beating the drum for? Well, I say the South Carolina fans, Carolina Jackpot, and a couple of other ones that I've seen on Twitter. They are all in, if Shane Beamer doesn't work out, on getting our favorite coach in the country, the one, the only, Dave Dorn.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, actually, to your point, Jordan, South Carolina fan I follow on Twitter earlier today was talking about Ray Tanner's getting ready to retire.
Retire? How old is he?
Well, he was only in his early 50s when he retired as the baseball coach. So I think he's got to be he's probably like 64.
Well, that's about right at retirement age, I guess. But
yeah.
Oh.
Not everybody wants to be, Nick Saban or Joe Paterno and stare till you turn into dust.
Well, I wouldn't blame him. I mean, the amount of people that hate him in Columbia is staggering. I can't stand him. He went from the most beloved guy on campus in 2011 and 2012 to the most hated man on campus in 2023. It's insane.
Well, I mean, the hires he made for the men's sports in particular, it wasn't good. I mean,
yeah.
Will Muschamp obviously
Which
was a disaster, and
I've never understood this, because I've heard South Carolina fans talk about it, and I've seen how it plays through in Miami. Like, the AD catches the blame for it, but a lot of times they all hire hiring committees, and then it goes through the board of trustees. Like, the AD doesn't even end up with the final say-so.
I think it depends on the university.
It's not a universal process. Like, some schools do that, and some schools do that for certain programs and not for others. Like Ray Tanner, they hired Ray Tanner as athletic director because he had a degree in management. He had some experience in athletic departments. So, and obviously he was a beloved name.
Yeah, won 2 national championships for the baseball team. If it weren't for that, he wouldn't be the AD.
Right. And so, like, I mean, I think Ray Tanner has been he's been pretty hands-on with the hiring process because he's an athletic coach in himself, and so that was kind of the idea. And so Will Muschamp didn't work out for football. Shane Beamer it hasn't worked out the best so far. And then you think about basketball he held on to Frank Martin and
did he hire Dawn Staley? Who hired Staley?
It was the guy before.
Okay.
He inherited Dawn Staley. She's been there since 20.
So the best coach for all of their athletic program he didn't hire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of like Dan Radakovich when
Right.
he inherited Dabo and Mike Noonan, the soccer coach who's won 2 titles. So it was kind of similar to that. But yeah, so I like the men's sports, and then the baseball has been a disaster. Chad Holberg didn't work out, and then it was Mark Kingston, and that hasn't. They held on to Mark Kingston for probably longer than they should have. He probably should have been fired at least 2 years ago.
Well, they did just make a good hire for a baseball coach, I think.
I think so. It's an interesting move because Paul Manieri or whatever his name is, Paul Manieri, like he's won a national title at LSU, but he's 65? Like,
they're probably bringing him in like North Carolina intended Mac Brown to be a bridge to stabilize things.
That's what it is for sure.
And if he's a bridge, I mean, great. He won a national title. He was a runner-up another year. He won 1,500 games. That's a pretty good bridge.
Yeah, I think it would have been a bad hire had they not made the assistant hires that they did, because they held on to Monty Lee. That's a big deal for recruiting.
Yeah.
And then they brought the guy from LSU that had worked with Manieri for a really long time as his pitching coach and recruiter and all that. So, and they hired him, and so I think that was a big deal.
So I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about this guy. Where did he coach before he got hired at South Carolina? LSU. Okay.
Yeah, he won.
Now, see, bringing somebody that's been with you doesn't always work, because Gino DeMar was with Jim Morris for years before Morris retired, and DeMar has not worked out so far.
So what do we think the fate of Monty Lee is? Is he going to be still on staff, or is this guy bringing his whole new thing?
Yeah,
they're keeping Monty Lee.
Yeah,
okay.
He signed a 3-year deal, so they kept him, and they brought his old.
I think they said Monty Lee is now the highest paid assistant baseball coach in the country.
Wow.
So, yeah, probably. Yeah, they gave him a massive deal because he had at least one head coaching opportunity. I think there was rumors that he was going to go coach the Citadel.
I heard about that. Yeah.
They upped his contract big because if they don't have Monty Lee, they don't have the South Carolina recruiting ties that you need to be successful there. Like, Monty Lee is, say what you want about him as a head coach, and I certainly had my gripes when he was Clemson's head coach, but the guy can recruit.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a history here in Charleston too. So I mean, he coached College of Charleston, which is what led him. His success there is what led him to get the head coaching job at Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he's a good coach.
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't. His problem as head coach was he was too loyal to his guys. He didn't fire not firing his pitching coach was like the biggest indictment in his time at Clemson. He held on to Andrew C. for far too long, and obviously that was one of our biggest issues was pitching, and also we couldn't score with runners in scoring position, and obviously we didn't make it out of a regional while he was coach. So it was there were a lot of things that kind of went into that, but he's a great assistant and great recruiter.
Yeah. So you saw I don't know if you saw the title of the ACC show. How many teams do you believe will make it into the 12-team playoff in the ACC? So we know one is for sure because the conference champion gets an automatic bid. Outside of that, though, is there any way that you see 2 teams getting in or more?
Yeah, I do, especially depending on records.
Yeah, for sure.
And you even have a possibility of a third.
Well, I threw around the Notre Dame thing just being kind of facetious because I called Notre Dame an ACC team in football because they play an ACC schedule, but they're not in the ACC. So if it's not Notre Dame, if you had to pick 2 teams in the ACC, who would they be?
Probably my pick for the ACC title game right now, which is Miami and Clemson.
I can see that. Yeah, I mean, Miami's they've got a great transfer class coming in. Cam Ward, I've heard great things about him, and the defenses should be really, really good. That defensive line is pretty loaded. Yeah, I could totally see it.
I get I'm a Miami fan, so it's going to sound homerish, but this is from other sources, not me. That's a top 10 O-line, top 10 D-line, top 10 edge rushers, top 10 quarterback, top 10 running back room, top 10 wide receiver room.
Yeah, I mean the roster is really in really good shape. So yeah, I can see, and I think the biggest thing is when we're talking about how many teams can the ACC get in is I think their best teams are all kind of isolated from each other. From a scheduling standpoint, so like Miami and Clemson don't play each other. NC State they actually have a really easy schedule. I just said Miami, but I think their schedule, especially in conference, is pretty manageable. So like I could totally see them, winning double-digit games and having that college football player, even if they weren't to make it to Charlotte. And then Florida State, I think their conference schedule outside of Clemson is pretty, and Miami is pretty. Who do you
think has the toughest road? Because they have to look at out of conference too, because it's the playoff, not the conference, right? So,
yeah.
Obviously, Clemson has to start off with a very tough game against Georgia, which they're down by. Georgia's favored by almost 2 touchdowns, 12 points or something. They have to play Florida State. They have to play NC State. They have to play Virginia Tech, which a lot of people are high on this year, and they have to play Louisville. And they have to play Louisville. So they got to play Florida State on the road. They got to play Virginia Tech on the road. I think they get both Louisville and NC State at home, if I'm correct.
Yep.
So that's not an easy road for Clemson. Now, what about Florida State has to play? Who's Florida State's big non-con games? I know they play Florida at the end of the year, but who's their other one? Miami. No, that's a conference game. Yeah, non-con.
Yeah.
Who did it? That's a good question. I don't have their schedule memorized, but I don't think they have a schedule like
Notre Dame.
That's right. It is Notre Dame.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Well, there's a lot of people are not high on Notre Dame this year.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't be. Actually Notre Dame's schedule is very favorable for them.
Yeah, I mean we'll know a lot because they open with A&M, but like they brought in Riley Leonard from Duke. They brought in Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator that, put up a bunch of numbers at LSU last year.
Well, and color me skeptical on bringing in a quarterback. I thought Sam Hartman was going to do a lot better than he did.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. I do think Riley Leonard is a much higher NFL caliber quarterback than Sam Hartman was. Like from just a physical tool standpoint, like Sam was a really good, at Wake Forest, he was great for the system he was in, but he's not an overly special,
I think that claw fence had a lot to do with that. It's just so different than what people are used to seeing.
It was a unique scheme, and Wake Forest, they don't get enough credit for the wide receiver talent that they had, for the last.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah,
5 or 6 years, they had some dudes, man.
Yeah, they did.
Donovan Green and what's his name? A.T. Perry. Man, the slot that got drafted a few years back. I'm blanking on his name. He was really good, and they had some of Taylor Marin and. Some of those guys transferred out too the past couple of years, but they had some really, really good receivers.
Now, are either one of you or all of you are you guys buying into the Virginia Tech hype at all? I mean, I realize they won like what 4 out of their last 5 games at the end of the season, right?
Yeah.
They ended on a hot streak. Yeah, I'll give them that.
So
and they're bringing like 92% of their starters back.
Yeah, they're the most experienced team, like from a returning production standpoint in the country, I think.
So I'm still hesitant to buy into them. I realize all the things you just said. I think they'll be better than they were last year. But in comparison to Clemson, so all the things that I've been hearing about Clemson is Clemson's on a downward trajectory. But Clemson won their last 5 games of last year. So why does that same thing not apply to Clemson that applies to Virginia Tech?
Yeah, the standard is different. That's kind of the reality. And it's been a lazy talking point, but a lot of the conversation about Clemson has just been about the lack of transfer portal usage and I think that's overshadowed what Clemson actually brought back this year. And this is K. Klubnik in his second year under Garrett Riley's system. The wide receiver room, in my opinion, is honestly the best it's been in about 4 or 5 years from a depth standpoint.
That leads right into my criticism of Clemson. I've said your wide receiver room's been non-existent for the last 4 years, and your offensive line really has been a problem since Dabo's been there. But normally he has a quarterback with a skill set that can hide it.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and I agree. But I do think that the wide receivers last year they dealt with injuries. I thought that was their biggest thing, but I thought they showed a lot. And then this season, I think with a healthy Tyler Brown, healthy Antonio Williams, Adam Randall coming back, Brian Salato getting healthy,
Wesco coming in. Yeah, they've
Wesco and TJ Moore coming in, and Cole Turner he was hurt last year. Like, this is actually I think a lot of teams in the country would like to have Clemson's wide receiver room right now.
Yeah,
and that comes to my argument. Yeah, there's potential there, but it's unproven potential.
Some of those guys for sure, but I mean, I wouldn't call Antonio Williams unproven. Tyler Brown came in as a true freshman and.
He was the best receiver on the team.
Guy's going to look like coming back off an injury. Sometimes they look as good or better. Sometimes they don't.
Maybe, but I don't know. I think this group is in the best shape it's been in a while. And then that's not even mentioning TJ Moore and Bryant Wesco coming in, two 5-star true freshman receivers that are. I think they are. Much like what Clemson used to have at wide receiver. And then that's not even mentioning, I think this is the best tight end room that Clemson has had in a long time too.
Yeah.
Brennan Hill coming back. Josh Sapp has shown a lot of potential. Olsen Pat Henry, he's honestly like another receiver as far as his skill set. And then you have Christian Benjaker, who was a borderline 5-star tight end. Who's coming in as a true freshman. Like I think if K. Klubnik struggles this year, it's not because of the talent around him. At least not at the skill positions.
I agree with you. I agree.
Well,
and
the big thing, and I think this applies for both Miami and Clemson, they've got to fix the turnover problems they had last year.
Oh,
well, yeah.
Absolutely. You can't turn the ball over in every game, and the turnovers that you did have were so backbreaking.
They weren't as regular turnovers. I mean, you're talking about turning the ball over 4 or 5 times inside the 5-yard line. In games where the game was in question. That's it. Yeah. That's insane.
Those are massive swings and probability and all that.
That's a double-edged sword though, because you're making the opposing offense at that point literally drive the length of the field, and I would think that Clemson's defense would be able to bow it.
No, I mean a couple of those, Slim, they went the other way for 6 points immediately.
Yeah, we gave points to the other. That's the problem. We didn't give our defense a chance to get a stop sometimes, whether it was a pick six or a fumble return for a touchdown, or like the one against Miami this year. Who was it? Will Shipley that fumbled at the goal line.
Yeah, man.
And they took it back. Nate Wiggins actually that was one of his 2, chase down forced fumbles, but Miami recovered it in the end zone. But so that was a swing in that game because Clemson, they were controlling that game at that point.
Yeah, that was the
And all
difference
of
in
a
the
sudden,
game.
Everything changed.
Yeah,
in that
because
moment. And
I mean,
Miami knew they
Emory
could sit there.
Williams, I'll give him credit for poise in that game, but it's not like he had a monster game. He completed
No,
like 35% of his passes in
No,
that game.
it was not good. But he didn't make the back-breaking mistakes. Like Cade
Yeah,
Klubnik
you're
threw
right.
for 300 yards. I think Jake Brenningstool set the Clemson tight end receiving record in that game. But Cade Klubnik also threw an interception. He had a fumble. He had another fumble.
That was one of the most painful games I've ever watched, and I've seen some. Believe me, as long as I've been alive, I've seen some painful Clemson games. That one right there, that one and the Florida State game both. But
Miami was smart, and that was one. That was one. Mario, as much as criticism as he gets for in-game coaching, he absolutely he played that game perfectly because he had the feel on the game. And he was like, okay, as long as we don't screw up, they're going to screw up for us. And so you guys need to play. You guys need to play fundamentally sound football. Don't turn the ball over. Emory, if it's not there, throw it away. Do whatever.
Yeah.
Try not to take sacks.
Lean on Mark Fletcher.
Lean on the run game, and we're going to try and bully ball Clemson, and on offense, we're gonna pressure Cade, and we're gonna force him we're gonna make him uncomfortable, and so that worked because Clemson had led for most of that game until that kind of it was like 8 or 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and that was when the game flipped, and so.
Well, when because that game never should have went to overtime because at what point was the
Clemson was up 10.
Wasn't?
Well, Clemson was up 10 points in the fourth quarter. So
was it that late in the game? I was thinking it was the third.
No, Clemson was up 10 points. I think they were up 17-7 with. If I usually have a good.
It was early in the fourth quarter. They were up 10. You're right.
Yeah, they were up 17.
Well, I was just thinking that was the third quarter. That's all. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Miami. I think they scored a touchdown. They got a stop, scored a touchdown. It was a long drive, and so Clemson was they were still in position to run the clock out, but they went. I think they went 3 and out, and it was some questionable play calls. In that final drive. And then Miami went and scored, and I don't remember the full sequence of events, but I know that Clemson had a 10-point lead, and all of a sudden it was 17-7 at the end of the fourth quarter. I mean, 17-17 in the end of the fourth quarter, and Miami just said, "All right, now we know we can win this, and we're just going to let we're going to the field is shorter, and we're beating them on the line of scrimmage, so we're just going to lean on that," and that's what they did.
And we give Cade Klubnik a lot of shit, and we should, because he blew a couple of games for us, honestly. But the second half of the season, or at least the last 5 games, he did play a lot better. Now, he still didn't go a single game in the season without turning the ball over in some capacity, which is ridiculous. But if he can continue the upward trend from the last half of last season into this season, I think we'll be okay. But I'm not crossing my fingers or holding my breath that he will. I still need to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, it's a big year for him. It's a big year for Garrett Riley. This is all right. We got to see something, man. You can't. We can blame the offensive line, and we can blame the receivers and all of that for so long before it's because I think the thing that a lot of people, when you talk about Clemson's offense, Cade created a lot of his own problems. It wasn't all his fault, but he did a lot of things that just you can't do. Well,
he was just reckless. He was just careless and reckless with the football. I feel like he thought he was still back in high school where he was the best player on the field and he had the best players around him and they were so superior to their
a video game.
Like a video game.
Deficiencies offensively, Dabo has to take some of that blame too, and I'm going to keep harping on this. I know Pete disagrees with me.
No, I blame Dabo for. I blame Dabo for not
do his job.
Yeah, I blame Dabo for not punishing Cade the first time that he defied the play call in a game situation when the game was on the line. Yeah, and I was incensed when it happened the second time.
Dabo getting in front of him. I'm talking about Dabo getting in front of a microphone and going, we're not running the Garrett Riley offense. We're running the Clemson offense.
Well, that's what every coach says, Slim. That's not that. All that is saying that it's not about one person. It's about the team. That's all he's saying in there. It's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual scheme.
Yeah, Dabo does not have any. He does not have any sort of input on the offensive game plan or the offensive scheme in general. It was Garrett Riley's offense last year. The problem was personnel in especially in the back half of the year. They just, the injuries at offensive line. You lost Walker Parks for the year. You had receivers get hurt. It was kind of at that point it was like, all right, we need to kind of simplify this down.
Yeah,
that was a Garrett Riley decision, and it was a collective staff decision. But Garrett Riley was for that because they couldn't run what they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean they were playing.
So Dabo wasn't hamstringing in the offense, or it's like, no, we're going to run what we ran for a decade. Before it. No, the goal was for Garrett Riley's offense to be the Clemson offense. So that was kind of the problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Dabo calling play like that was something that was blown out.
And that's where the lack of depth on the offensive line came in. I mean, they're playing musical chairs. They were literally playing on one leg in a lot of those games with a Band-Aid on, and it showed.
And some of those players that we were putting in, like I don't want to call names because some of them are I mean they've transferred out, and I wish them the best, but there were certain players that we had to play on offensive line that just weren't very good.
They weren't ready yet.
And I completely understand that. I mean, that was us in 22. We ended up losing 7 guys on the offensive line throughout the year. I mean, we were down to our 4th string center, our 3rd string left tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, we had guys dropping like flies in 22. And so that's why I just kind of let that go. Okay, it's a new head coach's first year.
But I think people expected Garrett Riley to come in there and take over, and all of a sudden they were going to be like the fucking Kansas City Chiefs all of a sudden. Like, that's not how it works.
No. And there were still some deep-rooted issues beyond beyond what you can fix in one off season.
That's why I agree with you. I think this is a huge year for both Klubnik and Riley. Yeah. And the receivers too, to prove what
absolutely.
To prove themselves. With a few minutes we have left here, there's 2 other teams that we haven't talked about yet that are sort of getting a lot of hype. So NC State and Louisville. Now, what are your thoughts on Louisville? Listen, I didn't buy into the Louisville hype train last year, and I probably should have because they won 4 or 5 more games than I projected them to win. They what do you think about them?
They lost a lot.
They did.
They lost quite a bit.
I don't think they didn't have the transfer class that they had the year before. I think it's Tyler Shuck is their quarterback, is the starting quarterback this year. I don't know, man. I think they had a really good mix of talent. That they brought in from the transfer portal, and also Scott Satterfield didn't leave that. He didn't leave that cupboard bare. Like there were some dudes in there, especially defensively. They had a really good defense last year. And
on top of that, I'll definitely give Satterfield this credit. Like, did he have anybody on that team that couldn't run at least a 4.4? Like, he might have had the fastest overall team.
Jawar Jordan and Isaac Garendo, and like they had some Tyler Harrell at one point. They had burners, man. So it's like, it's I don't know if they still have guys on that roster that can do that, but.
I'm not sure Louisville is in a chance to win the ACC or make the playoff, but they sure are in a spot to play spoiler to a couple of teams that do have aspirations of doing that.
Now, see, that's what I've heard more about Virginia Tech is them playing spoiler.
Yeah.
Now, I want to throw this one at y'all because I've heard some Tennessee fans and some Clemson fans tell me this, that Syracuse is going to play spoiler, and people are even picking them to win 8 games.
Well, I'm not one of those people. I don't know who you've been talking to.
There's a lot of excitement. I think there's a lot of excitement because Syracuse hired Fran Brown, and he's a great recruiter. And
right.
He knows the upstate. New York area extremely well, and he
Pull up their schedule, Jordan. It is. They may have literally the easiest schedule in the country.
That's what I've been. That's what
It
I've heard.
is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with
Why
it.
This could be interesting, and they brought in Kyle McCord from Ohio State, who's he wasn't great at Ohio State, but
No, I think he's a good quarterback.
3,000 yards.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
He's not terrible.
I think Ohio State fans, gave him more help than he deserved. Like he just wasn't C.J. Stroud or Justin Fields. Like, but he had a really nice statistical year, and so I think that he has experience, and obviously the schedule is very manageable. So.
Yeah, very manageable, and he doesn't have the pressure on him at Louisville that he did at Ohio State.
Right.
Oh, it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see how he does. Now, last but not least, NC State. Now, I just don't. I know NC State's going to be talented, and they might play. They might be another team that plays spoiler. I don't see any chance they win the ACC. I just don't. It's just aside from how I feel about Dave Dorn, they are a perpetual letdown as long as he's been coached there.
It's when NC State doesn't have expectations that they
That's a good point. Yeah.
And they have expected. They won 9 games last year, and they had a really good transfer portal class. They brought in Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina. They've kind of turned around the wide receiver room, at least a little bit. They brought in some transfers because they desperately needed help there. And obviously defensively, they've been good for a while. So there's kind of an expectation that, hey, they had a chance to win 10 games. They still haven't done that since Phillip Rivers was there.
Oh man, Phillip Rivers, he's like 60.
Yeah, I know that.
Well, I mean, we'll know
win season in program history too. So it's been like
they've been really close. We'll know what they're made of week 2 because they've got Tennessee and Charlotte.
Yeah, that one's going to be interesting because Tennessee is, they have a new starter. Nico Iamaleava.
I'm a leave.
I'm about to leave you.
I'm about to leave. Yeah. Anthony East in the chat says Louisville and Virginia Tech in the ACC title game.
Congratulations. You tried and you failed miserably.
I'm going to say no on that.
Yeah, I would have some, if that happens, I would have some very serious questions about what happened to Clemson and Florida State and Miami and what they must have all. I don't see a scenario where none of the 3 are in the ACC title game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Anthony, if you're a betting man, you can get a lot of money on a little bit amount of a bet, betting on Louisville and Virginia Tech in the ACC title game. So put your money down.
I come on here and I ride Miami harder than anybody. There's no excuse for them to not make that ACC title game this year, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, when you look at just the overall roster and what you guys have brought in and added, yeah, it should.
This is probably the most talented it's been since they joined the conference in 2004.
You can make that. You can definitely make that, especially especially in relation to the other teams in the conference. Miami is. They have honestly, they have a better roster than Florida State, and they're closing. I still think Clemson has the best overall roster from a star talent standpoint.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
but Miami is they're right there. In the last couple of classes, they've really started to close the gap.
They're both top 10.
Yeah, for sure, both top 10. And so, yeah, this in the schedule. I mean, you only have really Florida State to deal with. So it's in conference. You still in.
Yeah, well,
that non-conference game against Florida is going to be fun because you guys just don't play that often, so it's always fun.
Oh yeah,
we don't, and I think that game's going to be closer than it has any business being because I would be a hypocrite if I didn't say this. A lot of those guys just haven't taken a snap in a Miami uniform yet, and we all know that Game 1 is the sloppiest game of the year.
Yeah, and that's how it was when y'all played in what was it, 19? Florida,
19.
Florida ended up winning 10 or 10, 11 games, and Miami won 6, but it was like a 3-point
field goal game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Louisville on the road a week before Florida State can be a trap.
Oh, for sure.
But we do get a bye week right before that. But still, it's right before Florida State. They can get caught looking ahead.
Definitely. Well, and it depends on what Louisville looks like, because if they're good, then it's like, okay, well, now we have two good opponents back to back. But if Louisville's kind of a middling, like it's probably even more dangerous if Louisville's like a middling team, like 500 or something like that, and they've kind of been up and down, but they're still.
And then what we said about
Virginia
Tech, I mean, we could lose that game to Virginia Tech. We could be the upset that they get, even though we play them in Miami.
I'm looking to go to that game.
So
I'm looking to go to Clemson and Virginia Tech in November.
Me too.
Are you?
I would like to go to a game at Virginia Tech.
I've never been to Lane Stadium.
I went there in 2011, and it's a great place to go watch a game now.
I've heard.
I mean,
we've had some good success, up there in recently. Like 2011. I remember both spankings we gave them in Virginia Tech, and then the ACC championship game.
Yeah, this might be the first. If I do go to Virginia Tech this year, this might be the first time I haven't been to a home game in Clemson in probably at least 15 years, maybe longer. But
as an aside, Enter Sandman's not going to be in the game because they couldn't get the rights from Metallica.
Are you serious?
What?
I guess they wanted too much for it.
So they can't play Enter Sandman anymore?
Well, no. It's not going to be in the game.
In the college football game.
In the game. Oh, okay.
They couldn't get the rights from Metallica to do it.
Well, that's not surprising at all, actually.
I think it's kind of shitty.
It is kind of shitty, but it's not surprising.
I mean,
you can't play Metallica on YouTube either. They'll copyright strike you. Them and Garth Brooks, and there's like a 4 or 5 different bands that you can't play on YouTube, and Metallica's one of them.
I mean, to me, that's just like free advertisement sticking
exactly.
in the game
I'm like
that.
well, why wouldn't you want? Like it must be like an automatic, like or their lawyers just strike videos. I don't know. It's like why? I don't
Shit,
know.
if you play Garth Brooks, they'll shut your channel down. You can't play Garth Brooks at all.
Right.
That's stupid.
Yeah. Which I don't give a shit anyway. I don't play Garth Brooks anyway, but.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. Yeah, especially for one of the more well-known entrances in college football.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it sucks.
Here's what I'll tell you about my one experience on Tech's campus for a game. The fans there are extremely friendly and welcoming, like during the tailgating and everything. The stadium it's a good stadium, but I guess I'm a little bit biased as a Clemson fan. I don't think it holds a candle to Clemson. Really, the intro is the best part of it. And the third thing is they do this thing where they shake their car keys on third down, and that's extremely fucking annoying. I'll tell you that.
Well, I mean, what would you rather? Them shake their car keys or listen to that fucking cowbell and Stark Bulls?
I'll take anything over the cowbell.
Yeah.
Anything over the cowbell.
We're definitely counting our blessings on that one.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you go, J-Bo, you'll enjoy it. It's a great place to go watch a football game. It's a beautiful campus and a beautiful part of the state in Virginia.
Yeah, I've been told that. The people have made parallels to Clemson as far as the environment and the fan base and just kind of the experience. But I'm I got to see it for myself.
So hopefully you do go, and hopefully I go, and we can meet up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but anyway, I have to get off. That's going to end the show for today, guys. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I want to come back and be on this more because, as we get closer to the season.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're always welcome here, J-Bo. I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, damn, I haven't heard from Jordan in a while. I see you sometimes on Twitter, and I was like, I wonder if he's going to come back on the show. So I'm glad you're here.
He popped in a Twitter space the other day, but didn't grab a microphone.
Yeah,
I did. I just wanted to see what y'all were arguing about. It was
well, that turned into a bunch of fucking just off-season drama like YouTube does.
Yeah. And I'm in like a couple like group chats with those people, and so it's like
so am I.
I love the off season and all the bullshit that goes on, but I'm ready for football to start.
Me too.
Let's spot the damn ball, as they say.
Yeah.
Well, this is the part of the off season for me that drags the longest, June and July.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's too much. Like one thing that helps me is I follow recruiting, so that makes it that kind of helps follow at least past the time, but
My worry is once fall camp starts, it's like any headline's a bad headline because it's usually an injury or something, and then you don't want to see that or somebody getting in trouble, arrested or something. That's like that. There's very few like good news headlines that come out about your team over the next couple of months.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's not usually really good.
Yeah, but I'll give Mario this much credit. Like, there have been a couple incidents that I know of for a fact that happened that he's been able to keep out of the news. I don't know how he did it, but he's kept them out of the news.
Well,
I know that's happened at Clemson. The stories that I
nothing ever stays out of the news at Miami, but somehow Mario's managed to do it.
That's right. I mean, y'all do have a really they give a lot of access to y'all's media usually, or at least from my experience in previous years. But I think Mario's he's definitely been more tight-lipped about stuff than.
Well, and right now everybody's focusing on Nevin Shapiro on that fucking podcast and all the horse shit he got on there spewing.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Good old.
That was that. Hey, listen, you want to listen to some grade A bullshit? That there's 2 hours of it on that damn podcast.
What's the name? What's the name of the podcast?
I gotta go listen to it. I heard about it, but I haven't listened to it.
Oh God, what is the name of it? The guy that runs it, he was a quarterback at USC and Vanderbilt. I'm having a brain fart now.
Quarterback at USC and Vanderbilt.
Yeah, just look up, just do a Google or a YouTube search of Evan Shapiro. It's on there.
Okay.
It's like a 2-part interview. Momentum podcast. That's it.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, the dude was like a quarterback at USC and Vanderbilt. Now he does a podcast with all different kinds of people.
And so Shapiro just comes on there trashing Miami. Is that what it is?
Well,
or just
not really
half truths or
yeah,
events.
Like he spends half his time talking about how he's got a documentary coming out that's going to exonerate him, and I'm like, dude, you pled guilty to all those charges.
Oh man.
But most of it's just he was pissy because a lot of players just stopped talking to him when they went to the NFL, and it's like, well, duh, that's how it works.
Yeah. And his butt hurt.
Yeah, like I said, the stories of things that went on with individual players, that's probably true. But like he tries to say that whole 01, 02, 03 run was him, but turns around and also says that, well, I didn't start really coming around until 01. Well, which one is it, dude? Is that all you, or did you not start coming around until then?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, that should be a fun listen.
Yeah. All right, J-Bo, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Talk to you later.
Later, bro.
All right, Slim, thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yes, sir. It was fun.
Yeah. See you.
Hey.
All right. We did it. We barely did it, but we did it, Sea-Dog. The return of the ACC show after a 2-week hiatus.
Yeah. I wanted to show something, but
Well,
I'll try to...
do you want to show it?
No. I think maybe it might be better for midday show content. Maybe I'll try to jump on the midday show with you.
I'll be on tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. if you want to come on then.
I'll try to jump on with you tomorrow morning.
All right.
On my lunch.
Do you want to give us like a hint, or like is this like a...
It's something hilarious that I found. I didn't make anything. It's just funny.
Okay.
That I found that cracked me up, and I think y'all might get a kick out of it too.
All right. I'll be waiting with bated breath. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's great. All right.
All right, Sea-Dog. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too. See ya.
All right, everybody. Appreciate you for hanging out with us tonight. Talk a little ACC football and baseball. We started off the show with some baseball talk. So, anyway, I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. on my second channel, the Peete Podcast channel. There's a link to that. If you're not subscribed to that, do that. It's in the description of the video. 11 a.m. Now, that's not a football channel or a football show. We do talk about football some on there and all that, but it's a shit show is what it is. But anyway, I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Have a great Tuesday. See you later.